you chop it up, you never spend on it again. You never spend on your dog credit cards. You only spend what's in your checking account. And then from there, that's when you try to pay your car off 15% interest rate, right? I think is what you said. You take that, you try to pay that off as quick as you can. You put every single cent that is not going to groceries, utilities, and rent to paying that off, and then you kill your IRS debt. With every single penny you have, that is all of a sudden not going to the stupid credit card, that is not going to the stupid car loan, it is going to the IRS, and this is going to be a multi-year journey of not having fun. But right now, you're not making progress on it. You're going in the opposite direction because you're going into credit card debt.
My name is Matthew Canner. I'm 26 years old, and I currently live in Dallas, Texas.
Dallas, Texas. Nice. And what do you do for a living right now?
So right now, I'm the operations manager at a company me and my partner started, which is essentially a business finance brokerage.
Okay.
It sounds fancy, but essentially what we do is provide, in a really grotesque way to describe it, payday loans for businesses.
Really? And how's that going so far?
Not well.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, so we found out pretty quickly that it's basically one of the most dirty industries to be in. So to start something like that, you have to partner with a bunch of lenders. Sometimes it's very simple. They're just like, okay, yeah, come on, partner with us, send us deals, we'll fund them, and then you get a cut. Sometimes the more proper lenders, or what you would call A-paper or prime lenders, they have an interview with you, and they talk to you for a bit, and they say, okay, you're good to go. Well, sort of sum it up, we found out after the 6 months we've been doing it, and having no deals and wondering what was happening, because everybody we'd get them offers, we'd say, here are your offers, I go think about it, and then we try to call them back and never get a hold of them again. So we made some friends in the industry, and we found out that of the 25 lenders we were partnered with, essentially 19 of them were fake. They're super brokers. They pretend to be lenders, and then we send them the deal, and then they send us the most ridiculous interest rate because they got the bottom interest rate. They upsold it to their lender, and then they send us a revised offer with an even higher one. And they expect us to downcut ourselves so that they get the commission on it. And so we just cut them all, and I got about 15 days left in the month to make this company work or it folds.
So they're a middleman for a middleman.
Yeah, they pretend to be a lender, but they're not at all.
You just said 15 days?
Yes.
Left until what?
The company essentially folds. So right now, total invested with my salary, we're at about $100K.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, with your salary. Okay, wait, without your salary.
That's not even that much, really. We're probably still around 50, 60, 70.
How much of that is yours?
So I think my gross is $1,400, but technically it's an attributed expense. So I kind of have to back up and say how I started this business.
Go for it.
So back in 2017, I moved here to start a debt collections agency with my friend. We started from scratch. It was just me and him. We hired 2 or 3 people, expanded, took off, we moved locations. What I should clarify is that agency is supported by what we call sort of our network, which is mutual friends of my best friend, and they have several collection agencies that they either own or they provide debt to. On top of that, they have a very sophisticated software they built from scratch for collecting debt. They provided us a phone service. They provided us with resources for lawsuits, like attorneys under their network. And because my best friend is very close with them, we would communicate quite a bit. And what ended up happening was basically the other agencies started copying everything we did to a point where the main agencies that they owned, sum it up, they absorbed my company. We merged. So no longer was I the face of it. I didn't have to take on any obligation if my collection agency got sold, because everything was in my name for that. I provided no capital, but I was essentially the front man. That was sort of what allowed me to have such a high salary at the time. So
what was your salary at the time?
I made about $100,000 a year.
Okay.
And essentially I was just the, again, operations manager. So upon that absorption of the company, we moved to an even larger office. And because of that, I was originally the operations manager, but I don't want to call her this because I am friends with her, but a more brown-nosed employee that was very good and would do everything for, my friend's name is Joe, would do anything for Joe, essentially got promoted to general manager. And I said, that's fine, whatever. I became just a manager of all the collectors. She oversaw most things between collectors and what are called point callers, which are like, they dial out and they get a hold of the consumer, and then they transfer the consumer to a collector. So you don't have to have as many collectors who are constantly hammering on the phones. They only take inbounds that are either routed from or point callers. Point is, after that happened, we continued to hire, and the need for more managers happened. And I had been doing this for 4 years at this point, and we kept having meetings about, how do we get people to show up, or how do we do this or this or this? Mm-hmm. Things that me and Joe, over the course of us being 2 people to now 70 people.
How long ago are we at?
So at this point, we're at like January of last year.
Okay.
So we're promoting people to managers. People I hired, trained, brought them to collector. They became amazing collectors, and now they're getting promoted to managers, and they're somewhat equal to me. And I kept getting into these like Zoom calls because it was kind of Corona time still, and they wanted to impress Joe and be like, I'm a new manager, I want to come up with good ideas, and they would just keep saying ideas that we have tried in 2018 and 2019, and I'm like, it's a great idea, but we tried it, and I get outshouted. And I was just like, the way that it was worded, and I like this terminology, is there was too many chiefs in the teepee. There was too many people trying to run something, and it didn't need to be that many managers. And Joe knew that I was disgruntled with this. So he said, hey, I want to start another company. Here's what's on the table. And he had mutual friends who were doing this. And they were making, as a company, millions of dollars a month, because generally speaking, if you sell someone a $100,000 loan, it's 10 to 15 points, so $15,000. And if you do that in volume, and there's really no overhead other than your office space, your CRM, and your phones.
Yeah.
And then, of course, buying leads. So basically March of last year, I was tasked to just start researching. And for the better part of 3 months, I learned everything that you could know about the back end. So like how the industry works, how you get paid, how the lenders get their money, where to find lenders. I mean, I went on this whole sidetrack where I was just calling local banks in South Dakota trying to figure out how to get partnered with them. I didn't understand that there are these things called non-depository institutions. They're effectively banks that don't have ATMs or personal accounts.
Okay.
They're like hedge funds, but they don't use the stock market. They're just a DBA with a chunk of cash, and that's how they lend. So once I got past that, I created spreadsheets of all the lenders we needed to partner with when we were ready to pull the trigger, all the phone companies we would contact. We got a hold of companies like Plaid, which is the company that backs Venmo. So essentially Plaid's great because they got sued for this because they weren't up front that's who they were. But when you go into Venmo and you're like, all right, I want to set up my bank account, you don't need to do a whole lot. You type in some things, authorize something, and then Plaid goes in, grabs your statements, links your account, does that. For me, that's great because to fund a business, you need 3 business bank statements. So if I have Plaid, I just send them a link. And instead of them, especially older business owners who don't want to go to the bank and print stuff out, they just click a link and then I get their statements. So I did a ton of research and then just sat there for the better part of 4 months.
Okay.
About October.
And was the company still profitable at this point?
Well, the company technically wasn't doing anything. The company I work for, the collection agency, yes.
Was profitable even though it was going through rapid expansion of hiring a lot of people.
Yeah.
Okay.
But at that point, the more people you hired, the more money we made. We had kind of gone over sort of a hill.
For sure.
It was just, we need to make more phone calls. We had
yep.
companies placing debt with us, and we weren't working it fast enough. So yeah, that company is going great. And just real quick to circle back, because you're kind of aware what's going on. The reason I said that it's kind of an expense, my payroll, is because I'm still on that payroll. Technically, my new company is not paying me. That company is. And that's because the same people investing in that company are the ones investing in this one.
Okay.
So rather than set up a whole new paychecks account until we could achieve proof of concept and at least some profitability, we just kind of kept everything as like a bridge. Well, those 4 months were essentially attributed to these guys, my friend included, no offense to him, but him and his partners just mulling around about the name of the company. And I had given them like lists of all these fun names, and then they ended up creating this like nonsense name that's not a real word. But they finally came up with it. It's a combination of 2 words, and they merged it together, and it's real fun, and it's clever. And we're like, okay, cool. So then they established the DBAs, and then we can actually create a company. And then I can call all the lenders and do everything. Mm-hmm. Well, right about that time, and I was very upset about this, I got my pay cut. Because essentially I was a stagnant employee that wasn't doing anything.
Okay.
I did all my research, and it took me about 2 months, and I knew everything there was to know.
I guess it's better than getting laid off, but what was the pay cut to?
So I went from essentially, like I said, about 100. I think the true number is about 95.
Okay.
To like 72.
Yeah.
Sounds manageable, but I'm on a 2-year lease. I have all these things, like my car and everything. And so I'm obligated to still pay those things. Mm-hmm. So it's very drastic change, and I had to cut a lot of random expenses. Now, I was living, as you'll see, to the fullest extent of my means, and I still am, but I've cut some random things, and I don't do it as much.
Okay.
It's really the frequency that I eat nowadays.
Sure.
But the pay got cut. Fast forward, it gets to about May of this year, and I had to have a conversation with Joe, and I was like, if I don't get my pay back, I can't keep doing this. Like, I'm going to run out of money. And ended up getting what you would call, after a lot of debate, the equivalent of the difference between the pay cut and when I started the company of what my money would have been. So say I lost $2,000 a month.
Yeah.
Essentially, I got like a check for about like 6.5.
Okay.
But I owed Joe some money, so it was a little different. It's about 5.
Okay.
And that was supposed to survive me until the company became profitable. I made deals, sort of milestones, where like, okay, this will hold me over. I don't have to stress about it. I can focus on the company. If we make this amount of money for the company and then do it again a second month, then we have a conversation about bringing my pay back to what it was, because that's my lifestyle, and I'm not able to sustain it right now.
Yeah.
Somewhere in the middle of there, I got a credit card. It's the Capital One card. And then that kind of brings us to where we are today. So basically the end of August, Joe was like, the lease on this small office that we have, which is right across the parking lot from the collection agency, is going to end. And I'm not going to renew it if we're not profitable. We've dumped so much money, and we have Salesforce and stuff, which was maybe a frivolous expense at the time. Down the road, if we were killing it. Yeah. And basically in the past week, we just met a bunch of people via what you would call like a Facebook for this industry. And they messaged us privately. They were very helpful, and that's how we found out that all our lenders were scamming us. They were basically, they'd send us an offer, they'd decline the offer even, and then they'd call the merchant behind us and just give them the offer, and that's why the merchant never called us back. So that's kind of my backstory as to where I am from 2017, where he was effectively paying all my bills for about 6 months until we became profitable, and then going up to a point where I was the most earning of my entire graduating class, to now here where.
So the original company, is it still doing well today?
Yes.
Okay.
They rent, I think, about 4,000 square feet of that office space.
And
they're waiting on a permit to get another 7,000 square feet to expand it.
As a co-founder there, do you have an equity position?
No, so it's not like
And you're not employed by them. You're employed by the second company.
No, so the company I'm like trying to make work doesn't have a paychecks account. I'm just working off of a payroll. Like on my paycheck, it still says the collection agency's name.
Well, what I'm thinking, the company that you're employed by now, it goes under in like 2 months, you said, right?
Like 15 days.
15 days. It goes under. What happens to your employment?
So that's sort of up in the air. When I originally parted ways with that company, and I said, yeah, I want to get out of here. I'm tired of collections, and I'm tired of fighting with managers over how much experience I have and them being redundant with ideas that we've tried and failed and figured out don't work. Mm-hmm. And one of his agreements, which I can circle back to, which is also part of the reason I lost out on like $60,000 in bonuses before my company merged, has a little bit to do with that, is that I wasn't going to come back. And I was like, yeah, I don't want to come back.
Okay.
Now I have an agreement with him. He is my best friend. but I have an agreement with him, and I knew he wasn't going to tell me which one he was going to do. But I said, give me one of these two options. Tell me that you will essentially like help me like create my resume. I haven't done this in like 7 years. Or let me work temporarily for the company as a hiring and firing manager, because I know how the company works, and they take certain managers off the phone every single week to do interviews and everything. And I said, at least then I can focus on this job, because right now that I know there's a deadline, I'm spending 50% of my time trying to get us deals so we're profitable, and 50% of my time on Indeed looking for jobs. And I don't want to do that. And I said, if you can just say yes, that one of those will happen, I can chill out and I can...
What did he say?
Yes. So, I told him he didn't have to pick. I just needed to know he was going to help me go somewhere else or give me that 6 months. And during that 6 months, I'm going to be on Indeed anyway, hiring people for that company. I can also look for jobs and not have the pressure of a deadline.
So you just don't want to go back to that company as a full-time position long-term at all?
I would, but it's not an option.
It's not an option? They won't do it?
No.
Why won't they do it?
So there's a main reason. Essentially, Joe doesn't want to risk me being in that office because of things that I've done before.
Like what?
So I'll back up a little bit. When it was my company, and I was the operations manager, I was paid in dividends.
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't taxed at all. I was the owner, and you'll see an IRS payment in these statements, and that's kind of why. But I was the owner, and what at the time I was paid on for a bonus was essentially 80% of all of our closers' bonuses. So if I had 4 closers, bonus $2,500, I would make $8,000. Now, I did a major no-no and had a relationship with an employee at our company.
Uh-oh.
And
What's that?
The people that were involved discussed it outside of things when it was discovered, and they determined essentially that I didn't betray Joe as a friend, but as a business person. So they deleted that entire bonus and aggregated. It would have been about $60,000 over the period of time prior to that merger. Now, because of that, I have a track record.
Yeah.
And Joe just doesn't want me there. I've moved on from that. I was 22 years old at the time, and I thought I was going to marry that chick, but she was also... I was her wallet. She was dating 5 other dudes and didn't care about me at all. She would hang out with her friend and go watch this, and she'd text me and say she was out of gas when she wasn't, and I'd send her money. And I found out from that friend. So hindsight's 20/20. That was not worth losing the opportunity to not only come back to my company or the $60,000.
All right, so it's taken us a bit to get to it because you have a large backstory, which is good. It gives us a lot of context here. But usually the first question I ask is, what do you do for a living? We know that. Second question, how much do you make? What do you bring in right now?
So I think the annual is like 72 gross. Essentially a weekly I'm at 1,140.
What will it be in your 3-month stint as a hiring firing manager?
It would probably be sustained, but at least I'd have time in that period to not have the pressure of a deadline and find a job that's either more or equal.
How much did you say that was on a monthly basis that comes in?
I mean, you'd have to multiply it, but if I did it in my head really quickly, it's $1,150. So that's so 4,600.
All right. So looking at your checking account, most recent statement. First of all, you spend a lot of money on crap.
Yeah, but what particular crap do you want to talk about first?
Well, we'll talk about Bar Louie, DoorDash, Starbucks, DoorDash, 7-Eleven, 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 Instacart, Domino's, Lava, Cantina, DoorDash, Tom Thumb, Domino's, 7-Eleven, 7-Eleven, Starbucks, DoorDash, Instacart, DoorDash, 7-Eleven, DoorDash, 7-Eleven, 7-Eleven, Starbucks, Tom Thumb, DoorDash, Instacart, DoorDash, 7-Eleven, Starbucks, Instacart, 7-Eleven, Starbucks, DoorDash, Instacart. Wow, that's a lot of Instacart and DoorDash convenience, and then lots of 7-Eleven stops. Hopefully some of them are gas, but...
So, okay. Confessionals. That's what we're doing now. Essentially, I eat my money.
Yeah, you do.
But I only usually... you'll see overlaps. This is not something I can say as a blanket statement. You will notice that this is not true consistently. But what I'll effectively do is I'll buy like $50, $60 worth of food from a place. and that'll be my meals for effectively that night, the next day till like lunch, and then I'll do it again.
Yeah, because it is once a day, pretty much.
I can cook. I just have like a mental blockage where I know I'm good at cooking, but I don't like that I'm not sharing it with anybody. And so I just eat by myself. Part of the reason I have like 6 dogs right now. I've essentially replaced company and my lack of friends, because they're all married and they don't hang out more than once a month, with my dogs and just living by myself. Now the gas, I'm an honest guy, and I kind of came here to forewarn users about how to not behave. It's not really gas. So I only work 8 minutes away. It is alcohol. I have been basically an alcoholic for like 4 years. And
4 years. So
essentially
ongoing.
$9 a day plus about $8 a day. The 9 is my alcohol every single day. And I get effectively drunk every night. And it all started when that chick basically screwed me. And I was like, forget it. Like, I don't care anymore. I'm not going to try to meet other girls. And then I got lonely, and that's where the dating stuff comes in, which you'll see in some statements. But it's not a healthy way to live. But effectively, the other's cigarettes. I smoke, so I buy a pack a day. And while they're cheaper here than in New York.
Pack a day?
Yeah.
It's a lot.
I know. Yeah.
Okay.
It's a lot. And then the rest of the random expenses are occasionally I'll treat myself to a video game. I got my subscriptions to your Netflix, your Hulu.
Yep, K2O, or CKO, Patreon.
That was like a podcast on YouTube, yeah.
Okay. Not my Patreon, apparently. I'm not good enough. You have YouTube, Tinder, Bumble, YouTube Music, Bumble.
Yeah. I've never really gone out with people. Everyone I've had like a significant relationship with in my life has either come from scholastic, like high school, or through schools, or work. And obviously the last one was from work, and it was the worst one from work. But I don't know how to go out and date. So I rely heavily on meeting people through these online apps. And if you're a guy and you're watching, those algorithms don't work in your favor unless you boost yourself, because everybody on there is your competition, essentially. And unfortunately, it hasn't panned out.
We're both looking for love.
Yeah. Don't do what I did, because it's a money pit.
Oh, yeah, you're doing it in a very expensive way.
Very aggressive way, yeah.
Are you drunk right now?
No.
You get drunk every night?
Yeah.
And a lot of that, you think, stems from that breakup?
That's when I started.
That's when you started.
It's been too long for me to say that that's the sustainability of it. It could just be addiction at this point. That's what I'd say it is.
Have you been to therapy?
No.
Are you willing to go to therapy?
I mean, if it was compensated, yeah, but that's the thing. I neglect my medical.
If it was compensated?
Not compensated, covered. I don't.
It's not covered in your $72 a year?
No. If I did that, I'd be paying into it probably $200 a month. I'd pay for dental insurance because I have some messed up teeth, but that's $13. That's the difference between making $11.47 versus $11.60.
Well, we'll continue going through your money and figure out ways, but I think that's a critical thing to budget in your situation, because you've mentioned 2 addictions and issues. So,
but I've smoked since I was 17. The alcohol came from 2019. That's when that started. 2019
to 2022, drinking every day.
Yeah,
that does damage.
Like 960 days in a row.
That's a lot. That does damage to not just.
I'm aware. I have some things wrong with me that I don't have the money to check out, like random lumps all over my body and stuff. But
well, you wouldn't qualify for any of the Affordable Health Care Act things.
Right.
So your private health insurance, I know you could get like $500 health insurance if you wanted to.
Probably, but here's my, it's a little morbid, but here's my apprehension to that. So I know some of my family's medical history. I never met my dad, but I inevitably did meet my grandma. And she told me that I found out he died of kidney failure. His father died of kidney failure, and his brother died of kidney failure. Jeez. So that's on the table for me in my mid-30s to 40s. But on top of that, what I have going on, which like I said, is I have like 40 lumps all over my body, across my ribs, legs, everywhere. And I could roll the dice and go, hey, let's get these checked out. Now, it could just be like...
How's that rolling the dice?
Well, hear me out.
You're doing Schrodinger's cat. I just pronounced that wrong, but
no,
that's what you're doing.
You don't even need me to finish. You know exactly what I'm getting at. Is
yeah,
it could just be like fat cells or cysts even, but it could also be like some crazy cancer. And if that happens, well, then I just have like an expiration date because I don't have the money, and I won't put myself in that kind of debt. So I'm kind of going off like a terminal life insurance policy if I were to find that out, and I'd rather live in peace right now, not knowing what it is. Because to be honest,
ignorance
they don't cause me any pain. They haven't affected me at all other than just existing. But you wouldn't be the first person that's alarmed by them. I'd share it pretty openly. I'm kind of just on the end of my life cycle. Like if Joe would have told me no, that he's not helping me, I was probably going to sell my car, which the only good part about that is because my credit was so poor, I put a massive down payment down. And my car is rather desirable, and I could probably make $8,000 on it right now.
Profit?
And then, after paying off the loan, and then sell all my stuff and get like an RV or something. Just take my dogs, go live in the desert, chill out, and that's where my life would end.
Dude, there's so much more. Dude, based on everything you have said since we finished the talk of the company to now, you critically need therapy.
Yeah.
Pretty much not an option. You need therapy.
We've only really known each other for better part of like a half an hour, but yeah, probably from an outsider's perspective, I'm an insane mess.
Well, I mean, it's
it's
the talk of not caring if you live or die, or the talk of rolling a dice on, the bumps, and then definitely the addiction, just the mindset around these things. They're not a good mindset to have. I cannot come from the therapy perspective of saying, okay, well, you should think this way. That's why having that mindset in a therapeutic situation would be good.
So I talked to you briefly a little bit before we met up, and I kind of was self-aware about my problems.
Yeah.
I'm sort of forthcoming about my spending. I'm not surprised that you found anything in my statements. I know it's in there. I run my card all the time. I'm also self-aware of why I am the way that I am. And it's a lack of motivation when I don't have, and I hate saying it, it's really shitty, but like if I don't have someone to like love or care about or do better for me I couldn't care less.
You should be saying that to a therapist.
I mean, that wouldn't change the situation. They would probably tell me why I think that.
No, it could vary, because the way you mentally the way someone mentally outlooks on the world does change situations.
But that's why I'm so aggressive with the dating apps. I think that if I did find someone who I like connected with, then I would like go to the gym and I would eat better and I would get myself checked out and all these things. But right now I have nothing to look forward to.
Exactly, which is why you need therapy.
Okay.
They can change that perspective. And that is not even close to my expertise. So I can't talk on that. But as someone who does therapy and encourages literally everyone to do therapy, whether they're in a bad situation or not, it's just good for everyone. Someone that's in a very bad headspace, such as you right now, that is important. It really is. You sound like someone who needs to start on a couple a week, to be honest.
Essentially, I'm just filling the void that I have with dogs and food and dating apps.
And alcohol.
Yeah, and the cigarettes, but that was long term ago.
Yeah, it might be worth trying something that's more affordable for people who don't have health insurance, like BetterHelp, who's not a sponsor. Please sponsor me.
Right. I've seen BetterHelp. I don't know how much they cost. I know they're more affordable, but
with $72,000 a year, again, we haven't gotten into we've barely even touched the surface. But you should be able to fit with $72,000 a year currently, and then the next 3 months, and then hopefully you can find something that's at least sustains that. You can easily fit BetterHelp in that once a week. I know for a fact. Okay. So the $5,393 went in, $4,957 was taken out, ending balance of $445 on this statement that we were just looking at. So
is that the statement from this year or the other?
No, this is 2022, July 27 to August 23.
Gotcha.
Now we can look at the exact same time frame for last year. Last year was 5,657 put in, so very similar amount. 4,000 taken out. There was more taken out on the other one that I missed. 1,591 for ATM and debit card withdrawals as well.
Okay.
So less was taken out. No. Since it's split up in those two sections, it always throws me off. So,
Chase, man.
$295 balance last year. And there were still lots of things like Prime Video and Venmo and Taco Bell, but YouTube Premium, YouTube Super, like it looks like you gave or something like that, and lots of DoorDashes. So this was last year. It looks like the spending habits haven't really changed.
Nope. Essentially, I've always lived like to the extent of my means. It was something that Joe had brought up because he's rather wealthy, and so he has experienced all of the levels of income that I have.
Mm-hmm.
And not that it's my goal or we'd even be remotely similar, but we've had parallels in our lives. And he said to me at once that like when he hit 150K, he finally outmade his spending. And he got to a point where he was, he didn't need everything all the time, and he would just chill the hell out. Not that that's a relevant point to mine, but I've never had a savings account, never had anything like that. I always just had the money, and I'm not a religious person, not that it's relevant to anybody that's a viewer, but I don't know what happens when I die. I know that I'm here now, and I've never seen, to quote a show, a money truck following a hearse. So the money that I have now, until I have children, where there's a place to put my money for a future investment, is to be spent and to enjoy my time.
There's also future you that hopefully will exist because you'll get your body taken care of and take preemptive medical care so your kidney does not fail. You said kidney, I think, right?
That's what my hereditary worries would be.
Which is why you need preemptive care immediately, or else that's where the risk of that happens. Then you also have a credit card. You ever carry balances on these?
Yeah, I don't know. You could tell me because I don't really look at those. I just pay them.
What do you do when you say pay them?
So when I was 19, as a debt collector, I knew all of the outcomes of what would happen if I didn't pay credit cards. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't my plan from the jump, but I got like essentially $8,000 worth of credit cards within a week. Everyone just approved me. And I was pretty responsible with them for about a year and a half, but then I lost my job, and I just, knowing what I know as a collector, screw them. I'm nearing the point where the statute of limitations is up legally and about a year shy of the credit falling off. With that one, that was the first card I got since that. Basically, when they gave me that one, I wanted to make sure it was always in good standing. Now, I do spend a lot on it, and depending on which statement you're looking at, I got a balance increase from $600 to $2,100 last month. Prior to that, it was $600. And so effectively what I would do is I would just pay like a much more than the minimum always.
Oh, but never the total balance?
If the total balance was within the means that I had. Essentially, I've been using that to...
that means you're bad at credit cards.
Oh, no, I'm intentionally bad with them, yes. But I'm using that to... That's the word I'm looking for. Support my pay-cutted income.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Well, that's terrible.
Self-aware, though. I mean, I know what I'm doing.
Does that justify?
No, it doesn't justify it.
Like, I could be self-aware that I'm a serial killer. Doesn't mean killing someone's good.
That's a harsh jump, but comparable.
It's a harsh jump, but for some reason, it's what popped in my head.
I mean, in your position...
Too many,
yeah,
Netflix shows that I've been watching about that stuff. Either way. Well, on here, if you didn't spend enough on a single day basis eating out and going crazy, this is now the credit card. And what do we have here?
The biggest expense you'll actually see, if that's the August statement, is the tickets for the concert I'm going to.
Yeah, $1,000 bucks?
But no. So 2/3 of that were paid back to me.
Oh, good. Okay, that makes sense.
I just had the ability to buy all the tickets at once.
But even that itself barely even matters to me because it's Starbucks and the bar and the bar and the bar and DoorDash and Starbucks and I don't know.
Not to derail you, but I'm curious.
Starbucks and...
Really quick, though, I have a question.
What?
Have you ever seen something on a credit card statement that was a justifiable purchase, but not an emergency. Like not a medical expense.
They can justify it if they can afford it. Currently, you cannot because you hold a balance.
Okay. I just wanted to know, like, if there was a particular item that just was acceptable to purchase. But I know that my spending, it's not related. I was more curious.
If you can fit it in your budget and you're paying it off every month on a credit card, then any purchase is justifiable if they want it to be. It's not justifiable to do these now multiple day purchases. It's almost like you get Starbucks in the morning and then DoorDash at night. Almost every single day is like what it's like. And then sometimes you go to a bar and then you get a lot of alcohol and cigarettes each day. And then lots of DoorDash, and DoorDash and Starbucks, more 7-Eleven, Starbucks. At least go to San Antonio or Dallas has so many options, I bet, for good coffee shops. But we're going to Starbucks every single day.
On the way to work.
So many DoorDashes, and then PlayStation Network, and another DoorDash. And I skipped a lot. I didn't say them all because it's just 3 pages of DoorDash and Starbucks, essentially, that you cannot afford. And the reason you cannot afford it is because there is a balance of $1,513 that you cannot pay off because there's $400 at the time of the statement, because at the time of the statement, there was only $445 in the checking account.
Right, yeah. I wouldn't be able to pay that off in any foreseeable future in one lump sum.
So you cannot afford these purchases?
No, I wouldn't be able to pay that off at all, in full anyway. I would have to chip away quite a bit. I'm not ever mad at the person.
It's just I'm mad at the situation. I picture myself in the situation because I'm like, what would I do? And that's what gets me irritated. And then I'm just kind of stressed on your behalf because with everything you've said so far, this is nothing that'll be fixed.
Not soon.
It doesn't sound like something you'll be willing to take any. You have Credit Karma?
I think.
Can I get you to either open it or download it? Shouldn't take more than.
Oh, you want to know my credit report?
No, I want to take a look at Credit Karma.
I can tell you everything that's on it. All those credit cards that
Ooh, there has been a boost. Oh boy. To 609.
Does it say when that happened?
No, I'm looking.
Because I just got 2 additional credit cards. They haven't even come.
Wait, hold on.
They haven't come in the mail yet.
The credit card that we just went over, the Capital One, is that your only credit card spending that you're doing currently, though?
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to touch those.
Okay. So you're not spending currently on any other credit card, though?
No. One of them I wasn't really going to touch at all.
Payment history, 100%?
Yeah, that was the one thing. And the reason that shows that way is I've never missed a car payment.
Good.
That was important to me because I'm very into cars. And I know that even with bad credit, if you have exceptional car payment history, that can sometimes lean things a little bit more in your favor. But that's not technically true because I let like 6 credit cards go.
And then your credit card usage, it's just that one credit card, but it's because your balance is so high, it hasn't been touched. So, okay, so that is definitely current, what we talked about earlier. So 72% utilization because you're just not making progress on it because you can't afford to make progress on it.
That's not actually current. I have $4 available credit on that credit card right now.
So it's max even higher?
Yeah,
So right now it's at like 2,000. Oh my goodness.
Yep.
96.
Ooh. Would have made a payment.
And that's why you got new credit cards?
No, those are for my dogs in an emergency. They're not cards I plan to use.
We haven't even talked about a lack of emergency fund, which is a better option, but that's okay. We'll talk about that soon. Credit age is extremely low because of your old credit cards falling off. Yeah. Right?
Well, most of them wouldn't have fallen off yet.
Well, let's see. I'm still going through it.
For anybody watching, if you have any debts with a company called Midland Funding, they own the debt in 1 in 4 Americans. And
that's your biggest one. Yeah.
Yep. They have, I believe, my Best Buy card. However, at this point, the debt is coming to a close. And if they were to try to pursue me, essentially it's just a phone call and I request a settlement or a payment plan.
So you took out $2,626 for Best Buy?
$2,000. That's interest before it charged off.
What? $2,000 from Best Buy?
So at that time in my life, I was getting an apartment, so just used that to furnish it.
But you made like $100,000.
No, that's when I was 19. You're looking at debts from the better part of 9 years ago or 8 years ago.
And then Ad Astra.
That one makes me mad. That's a payday loan, I believe. What does it say? The actual?
You took out a payday loan?
Yes, because they're non-collectible. That shouldn't be on my credit. The interest rates are too high, and the usury laws don't allow them to be reported to a credit bureau. I took out 2 at the same time. One was through Advance America, the other one was through Speedy Cash.
The only other person I've talked to who's taken out a payday loan has also went to collections.
It shouldn't. Well, it can go to collections. That's true, but it can't be reported to your credit. And I've disputed that a couple times, but only through just their little web portal. I've never made a verbal dispute.
Okay.
Payday loans the usury laws don't allow them to be reported, and also because they're not a credit-based application, they're based on your income.
What about portfolio recovery?
What does it say? Is that that's a cap
660.
one? That's a cap one. That was my first cap one, I believe. I had 2 cap one.
Oh,
cards.
there's 2 of them.
Yeah.
And LVNV.
That would be Target card. Yeah, that sums up, I believe, all the cards.
Yeah. So, oops, I just refreshed it. Okay, so 2,626 for one of them, 1,110 for another, 660 for another, 640 in another, 603 for another. So you're just kind of abusing the system of take it and have it fall off after 7.
And I was like, finally, I can get a house. I got to clear that stuff up, and I know how to clear them all up for about 10% of what they're worth.
The unaffordable food eatings. All of a sudden, you also have essentially $18,000, which is only 18% paid off. Current balance of $18,000, rounded up, for a car loan.
Correct. It's a $33,000 car, and I paid $12,500 down. I believe the
What
rate.
is the car?
It's a Ford Focus RS.
Does it even matter at this point?
Well, it's one of the only things that brings me joy on a day-to-day basis.
No, I'm just talking, does it even matter at this point of what I even think about this car? Obviously, this is terrible. You shouldn't have it. This car debt. What's the interest on this?
I think it's 15.2.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So what can I even say here? What can I even say here? I can give my thoughts in terms of what I think you should do, but will you do anything?
Unless the job that I have doesn't fold, and if it does, if I don't have routes, they don't pan out, all of that might be a lesson in futility to me.
Yeah, that's the interesting situation, because there's also potentially a expiration date on your income.
Yeah.
Well, if the 3 months is literally only 3 months, then there is an expiration date no matter what. Okay. I mean, this is just so bad, and I sympathize with the addiction part. Because that is a mental illness. That is something that needs to be taken care of in a mental way. I do not sympathize or feel bad that you're in the credit card debt, that you're in collections, that you have a bad car, because you've done it and you clearly don't give a shit about it.
The credit cards, again, so I want to reiterate the moral standpoint I have about money loaned, unless it's in a malicious way, which would be payday loans to me. My morals have changed. So when I was 19, I definitely did not give a shit about those credit bureaus.
But still, you have $2,000 on a credit card, and you're not willing to do anything in the world to cut back. You DoorDash every single day of your life, essentially. You Starbucks every single day of your life. You can't afford that because you have your credit card is maxed out. You've opened up 2 new credit cards, which are emergencies for the dogs. Who knows how long until, because this card's maxed out, and all of a sudden you can't order that DoorDash that day, that you start piling up on another card.
Right.
It's hard for me to sympathize with this because your solution's easy.
Well, to clear, I didn't come here for your sympathy. I came here to...
I know.
Okay, I don't want you to give me any sympathy. I wanted to potentially show your audience what not to do. I'm very self-aware.
You have any other debts?
The IRS.
How much do you owe the IRS? That's right. How much do you owe the IRS?
I would say, are you sitting there? $27,900-ish.
Dude.
$550 a month to them.
Dude, what's the interest on that?
Whatever they decide it is. Now, that is not the minimum payment. I will tell you that.
Do you know the solution to all of this?
I was thinking Costa Rica. But realistically, if going off of what I've seen you say, going to like a grocery store and only getting essentially what people work out with, chicken and rice. Don't spoil myself with any drinks or like Starbucks or anything like that. The only expense that I could add to my list would be BetterHelp to help me with my cigarette and alcohol addiction. I can make the pathway.
Are you willing to help yourself at all and fix your crap? Or do you just want to present to other people how crappy a situation can be?
Yes, I want to help myself, but again, until I know there's certainty that I will keep existing with an income in a couple months, I can't say I would immediately start doing that. Because if I just lose my job, then all this fixing for my credit report's irrelevant. Your credit doesn't matter if you're homeless.
Start therapy tomorrow.
Do they open Sundays?
I have no idea. Sign up for BetterHelp or see an in-person therapist. Start Alcoholics Anonymous, right?
I mean,
that's not my expertise.
I wouldn't know if that's where I need to go immediately, but
probably both, right? Again, addiction is not my expertise.
Yeah, it's hard for me to say how to get out of it.
Isn't it at least worth trying? Because that would also help cut back on the money situation if we want to talk about that. If you're no longer addicted to these addictive substances that are draining money on a daily basis, then boom, all of a sudden you're not spending that on a daily basis. And then there's also, of course, the health aspects of it. And then what do you do from there? Brew your own freaking coffee. You can get nice coffee that tastes much better than Starbucks. That'll save you much more money than all this all these Starbucks purchases. And then even if you just freaking went through the Wendy's drive-thru instead of door dashing it, that would save you more money. But don't even do that. It doesn't have to be chicken and rice. I don't care about that. You can.
That was the extreme.
You can have good meals. Get into the cooking habit, and I think that's where therapy comes in, where you talk about this, cooking for yourself versus cooking for another thing, because that's not my expertise. But from the money aspect of it, you can't do it, and you know why you can't do it? Because you can't afford it, because you can't afford to pay your maxed out credit card with the $295 in your checking account at the time of the statement. So that's essentially what you have to do, and then from there, I would stop paying more on your IRS. I'd do the minimum monthly payment there. I would kill this credit card as fast as possible.
I don't screw with the IRS, man.
No. You pay the minimum monthly payment. I'm not saying don't do that.
Well, the thing was, say I get a job, but it's lower pay.
Yeah.
I can do everything you just told me to do and still essentially be in a similar position where I can pay my bills, but lower pay. If I end up in a position where I can't pay the IRS, so I guess the hypothetical I'm trying to create here is something I'd rather not deal with them. So the more I pay them now, the less time that problem exists in my life.
No, I don't care, because it doesn't mathematically make sense, and you'll never find yourself in a situation where you can't pay them back, because in an emergency situation, you'll be running DoorDash every single day, every single hour, so that you can pay them. It'll never be an option that you can't pay them. You will go to the extremes to make sure you can pay them. So what we do in the meantime is we take the smart approach. The smart approach is you kill this credit card, and then guess what? I'm sorry, you're not good at credit cards. Some people are good at credit cards. You might know the system and everything, but you're not good at credit card spending. You're not good at spending, so you chop up your emergency dog cards. You chop up this card. You never open up a credit card again because you cannot do them. It doesn't mesh with your lifestyle. Maybe after therapy, AA, all that stuff, and you're in a better place emotionally, you might be able to be disciplined around credit cards, but you cannot do them now. So once this you chop it up, you never spend on it again. You never spend on your dog credit cards. You only spend what's in your checking account. And then from there, that's when you try to pay your car off 15% interest rate, right? I think is what you said. You take that, you try to pay that off as quick as you can. You put every single cent that is not going to groceries, utilities, and rent to paying that off, and then you kill your IRS debt with every single penny you have. That is all of a sudden not going to the stupid credit card, that is not going to the stupid car loan. It is going to the IRS, and this is going to be a multi-year journey of not having fun. But right now, you're not making progress on it. You're going in the opposite direction because you're going into credit card debt, and you're having 15% interest rate on this car. Then the interest rate, whatever it is on this stupid IRS stuff. So right now, you are financially killing yourself. You're physically killing yourself with the addiction and not seeking help. That one, again, I don't want to be critical of that one because addiction's different than spending. And then you're physically killing yourself by not taking preemptive care, by getting even the cheapest health care possible and getting one preemptive visit a year at least. You don't have to go every month. I don't care. Do one. Even pay out of pocket for it. I don't care. Just let them take a sample from the bump and tell you. There's a lot of things out there from watching Dr. Pimple Popper, because I love my daytime TLC while I'm editing videos. A lot of the time they're not harmful, but just figure it out. And then from there, make progress on these debts. And then yes, for your pets and for yourself, because you do matter, there is the importance of having an emergency thing. But it should never be an emergency credit card. It should be an emergency fund. And that's what you have after you pay off all these debts. But you're so long away from that. And from this conversation, I have no hope that you're going to cut back on any of these things in order to even start making progress on that stuff. What's your rent every month?
$18.50.
When this lease is up?
March.
2-bedroom. Try to get a 2-bedroom townhome with a yard.
That would be the goal.
I definitely get the vibe of wanting a yard for the dogs. I
live alone, so essentially I don't want them cooped up and, be able to go to the bathroom. So they half exist outside, half exist inside.
Either way, if you decide to go through any path of bettering yourself financially, downgrading your living will be important, especially if you take an additional pay cut.
That would definitely be a start.
You have to. In this car, actually, I was wrong in my assessment. I'm sorry. Sell the car. I don't know why that didn't pop in my head, especially since you said you actually have an equity position in the car. Sell the car. You cannot get it. Whatever cash you have from that, get cars, you said. Get a car that works.
That's kind of my vice, though. That's the thing.
You have a lot of vices, and it's time to get rid of the vice. And again,
but I had that vice before I drank and before I smoked. It's like the one thing. So if I gave up drinking and smoking and everything else, if I cleared all that spending out, it's the one thing. Like, if you told me you give me $1 million if I fixed everything you told me to do, but my car was on that, I can't describe you the joy that vehicle brings me.
It doesn't
quality of life to me.
It doesn't matter right now because in a few years you can get a nice car again, but in a financial, it's just a few years sacrifice.
It's a visceral circle of a conversation we're having because until I go to therapy and until I find out whether or not
I don't think you're going to do any of this.
I would definitely.
But that's what you have to do. You'll not go to Starbucks, never get DoorDash, never go out to eat again until you have an emergency fund after all your debts are paid off. You'll actually do that?
I can start on it. I mean, I kind of have to rewatch this video when you post it. I need to make a list. Unfortunately, I haven't been writing it down, but that's the beauty of the internet. Once you put it up there, I got it forever. So it is something I can work on because...
You cut your subscriptions, too. And the dating app things, I know. But again, that's another thing that therapy will help with, I promise. I know the feeling of being single isn't fun. I'm single. I'm not the... I would rather date someone. I get it. That doesn't mean dump all this money every month. DoorDash and Instacart. Just go into the grocery store.
Yeah.
Just the most basic sacrifices. Literally take sacrifices. I don't care if you love your car.
I know. I need to go to the grocery store. I'm just letting you know why it hasn't happened.
I know. And I don't care if you love your car. Take a sacrifice to better yourself. Love yourself more than your car. Please.
That's a profound way to put it.
Therapy. Please do it. And please let me know when you sign up for it. And we'll let everyone know and we can celebrate with you that you've taken that first step because that's the first step. So please do that. I promise you, everyone in the comments is rooting for you. There's going to be some negative Nancy's. There always are. Some buttholes. But we're all rooting for you. Please start making some progress on this. Let Matt know what you think about his financial situation in the comments below. And if you enjoy this kind of content and you want to see it live, feel free to join my private Discord in the description below, where you can also chat with me on a daily basis and have a video chat once a week. Shout out to my 4 Cups of Coffee supporters of Deal Martinez, Mark, Josh Bennett, Clayton006, Tyler Chong, Drew Smith, Timothy Williams, Sam I Am, Jason Spriggs, Nicholas Dally, Tom L, Jay Freedom, and Hans. 8 Cups of Coffee supporters making the dream come true, Justice Circle, Anthony, an anonymous supporter, and Sam V03. Subscribe and stick around for more. Thanks.